Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bauerle.
Welcome into the wonderful Priority Waivers show. It is going into week 13. We have a huge show for you today. There's a lot of bye weeks, a lot of injuries, a lot of people to talk about. But first, please make sure you follow our page at OUSFF on Twitter. Is that right, Justin? Is that right?
Yes. At OUSFF Pod. P-O-D.
OUSFF Pod on TikToks, on the Instagrams, on the X's. Make sure you follow us as well, Josh Kimmel, OUS, and Justin Bauerle, where I recently was in a bad mood and said, you know what, I'm going to talk shit to Justin about Marvel today, and he didn't play along. Remember last night I was going on with you.
Oh, that was last night. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't in a good mood last night. I was not in a good mood. So I just wanted to pick a fight with someone. I decided to pick a fight with my friend. I'm sorry.
You know what? I don't care. Marvel's
you didn't
good.
you didn't listen.
It's the better universe, so
it's the only universe.
It's really the only universe. You're
correct.
Would
you rank that over Harry Potter?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. I have no rebuttal to that. Anyway, but I really don't. But I want to skip all the fluff. We do have a lot of people to talk about. But first, I want to get into my top 5 players of the week at each position. Of course, this is PPR format. Most of us play PPR. The quarterback position, Josh Allen was number 1, scoring 40.7 points against Philadelphia. Their secondary is trash. Number 2 on this list was Jalen Hurts, scoring 35.5. Same game, very entertaining game, probably game of the year for most people. I think that was a great game. Dak Prescott is staying on fire, 32.2 at number 3. CJ Stroud, unbelievable. Just the MVP of the league, in my opinion. Number 4, 30.9. And number 5, against Detroit, Jordan Love on Thanksgiving scored 26.6 out of nowhere. You always have the one outlier at quarterback position, I feel like, and Jordan Love was the outlier this week. Anything off this list you want to talk about, Justin?
No. The only thing I got to add is, if you have Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts in a league, you're doing pretty hot today.
Yeah, you definitely are. It's him, guys. Kyren Williams is the number 1 running back on the week, which was absolutely ridiculous, idiotic, nasty, but he scored 38.4 fantasy points in PPR. Stupid. It's just stupid when just a regular guy who isn't special at all can score that many points, and then you watch
off of IR,
and then you watch Achan or other special players, special talents can't do anything. CMC number 2, 30.9, just the best in the world. Bijan Robinson was used 27.3, kind of nice pass out of the backfield from Desmond Ridder. 27.3. Isaiah Pacheco, he's been turning it around. I feel stupid trading him to you now, but not really, because Slayer's been balling out. 25.9. And Josh Jacobs keeps rolling along, 22.5, rounding out your top 5. Just want to say Ramondre, number 7. Just want to say he's been up there in the top 10 week after week after week. Just want to say. Wide receivers, we have the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, who's only 617 yards away. I think he needs to average 112 yards a game to reach 2,000. Tyreek Hill scored 25.4. Big Mike Evans, 25. Rashee Rice, we'll talk about him later, maybe possibly, 24.7. Devontae Smith, 23.6. And Nico Collins, he had a random, good game, 23.4. Hopefully it goes away when Noah Brown comes back.
Hopefully.
And rounding out the tight ends, Pat Freiermuth, coming back, 21 points. Big man gets it done. Tyler Higbee, 19.9. David loves that guy. By the way, Dirtbag Dave loves Tyler Higbee. Sam Laporta, 17.7. TJ Hawkinson last night somehow scored 16 points in a game where I think they scored 16 points total in the game, like real life.
22 points total.
22. Who knows? The game was annoying.
Yep.
The game sucked. Travis Kelce, 15.1. Definitely not tight end 1. You were right about that this week. In all weeks. He's been trash. I put a poll out there. Are you happy if you drafted Travis Kelce in the first round? What do you think? What the percentage is? Yes or no? Did you see this poll?
I did not see the poll, but I'm going to assume that people are probably not happy with his production this year. 88 targets on the season. Tight end 2 on the season so far. And you're drafting him to be, it is good, But you're drafting him to be like the best player on your roster, and he's not there.
I got 112 votes. 72% said no, they were not happy with Travis Kelce as a first round pick. And usually, I'm one of those guys.
Kelce is usually, like, if he was a wide receiver, he'd be a top 10 wide receiver. I think he's down to like 19th in targets if he was a wide receiver this year. If we looked at,
let's see. Hold on. Let's see. I have it right in front of me.
Points.
He has 171 points. So let's go to
he'd be wide receiver 14 right now.
I mean, that's still pretty good, but that's Tank Dell area, that's Michael Pittman area, Jordan Addison area.
But you draft him to be like top 3 receiving target, period.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not getting those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not happy with my production.
That's fair.
With that being said, let's get into the news and notes. We have a lot of injuries. Justin, take it away.
Time for injury news.
By far the biggest one of today, just announced literally right before we went live. That's why we're like a minute late. Jonathan Taylor is injured with a thumb. We do not know what this means. He did play the entire second half with a thumb injury. He actually got better in the second half, surprisingly. But 15 carries, 91 yards for 2 touchdowns last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think a specific fantasy podcast told you to start every Colts player this week. This was one of them, specifically because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this is going to be big news if you need to get into the playoffs this week and you're reliant on big points from Jonathan Taylor. We'll talk about his replacement a little bit later. Amari Cooper is day-to-day with a rib injury from the Denver Broncos game. They're calling the Broncos the Dirty Broncos now, which they love. I don't think they understand what dirty quite means, but that's fine. 2 receptions on 6 targets, 16 yards. Not a great day for Amari Cooper.
Doesn't that follow Sean Payton?
Bountygate. Baker Mayfield. He had an ankle injury in the first drive of the game last week. He ended up playing the entire game on that ankle injury. His MRI was negative, so he should be clear to go this week if you were worried about him at all. He had a pretty decent game against the Colts. Rashid Shaheed with a thigh injury. He's also day-to-day. Did not do well against the Atlanta Falcons, but could be because he had a thigh injury. We got Demario Douglas. This sucks. Head injury. He got clotheslined in that Giants game. I don't know if you saw that. He still had 10 plus points in the game, and by far was the only receiving option in New England. Talking about different head injuries, Dorian Thompson-Robinson left the game with a concussion against the Broncos. Again, the Dirty Broncos. And so we will see what that means for them moving on into this week. They went straight to LA this week because they got a game against the Rams. So we'll see. And then Chris Olave also left with a concussion. He had a monster game on Sunday before leaving out with a concussion. But
lame.
That is all of our injury news as of today. Jonathan Taylor is still going to be the biggest one you're going to want to watch out for. Chris Olave being a pretty close second with that concussion.
Lame. Chris Olave. What about the 3 guys that you have listed? May returns. You want to talk about them later or now?
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about those guys right now. I did put on Aaron Rodgers with his Achilles injury could return December 24th and play the final 3 weeks of the season, which would be unprecedented. No players ever returned in the same season they tore their Achilles, but Aaron Rodgers is a weird freak and is set. He's set to actually start practicing again this week. We'll see actually how limited he will be. Justin Jefferson, they are on bye this week, and he is expected to return in week 14 after their bye this week. And Dallas Goedert, he was on IR with this forearm injury. He will push to play this week. If he does not play this week, he will definitely be back for the Dallas Cowboys next week.
That's huge. Check your waiver wires to see if Goddard was dropped. Most likely he was not dropped, but just check because that's huge for your team.
In deep leagues, if you're in a deep redraft league, go see if Aaron Rodgers is out there. I mean,
no,
not yet. Okay.
Listen. I love Rodgers. No one on this network loves Rodgers more than me. I am a big Rodgers guy. And I do not want to see him return. There's no point. At this point, the Dolphins have this division wrapped up, and it's kind of pointless to come out there and play Rodgers. Stay home, stay healthy. We want you back 100%.
There would be nothing worse than to go back out there and re-tear your Achilles.
Of course, it'd be idiotic, especially for this football team.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into the priority waivers of the week.
This week's priority waivers.
So we have a big bye week, bye apocalypse, as people are calling it. We have 1 million people out. What's up, Bobby? A lot of big time fantasy players. We just named a bunch of these guys on the top 5 list. So let's go through them real quick. I'm sure you see. I'll give you the notable ones. Josh Allen, Lamar, both out. I'm not sure you're starting Josh Dobbs anyway after last night, but he's definitely out for this week because of bye. Justin Fields, again, out. That's 4 top 10 guys. You would say Justin Fields is averaging top 10 points per game. So
yeah, this doesn't account for the fact that he missed 4 weeks.
Right.
If you go back before he was out for 4 weeks, he was like a top 10 quarterback. So
yes, so you're definitely going to be scouring the waiver wire for quarterbacks this week. And let me tell you, the quarterback position is very thin. You're going to be starting a lot of Will Levises and a lot of bad matchups.
Tommy DeVito.
The running back position, you got Josh Jacobs out. He's been on fire. James Cook, Gus Edwards, Saquon Barkley. Again, all top guys that are in your lineup every single week. Oh, man, that's bad. Stephon Diggs or Stegon Diggs. Diggs.
Oh, God. You make one mess up the entire show. It's fine.
Stegon Diggs is out, but I hope Stephon plays. DJ Moore caught 11 balls last night. He's definitely out. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Addison, Zay Flowers, Justin Jefferson. He's been IR. Again, all these guys are in your auto lineup. You never take them out of your lineup. Just TJ Hawkinson and Dalton Kincaid. The tight end position is very, very thin, and those guys are missing as well. So on top of the injured players. So this is important. This is it. Some of you are sitting at 6-6. Some of you sitting at 5-7. You need to win out, get into the playoffs. So this is a very important episode. So that being said, we have a good list for you guys. I'm going to start with the tight end position. Pat Freiermuth, 49% rostered, plays for Pittsburgh. I don't know if you know that, Justin. He was a monster this week. I had a discussion about fantasy dynasty tight end rankings and where does this guy fit in, because everyone wants to talk about the Kincaids and everyone wants to talk about the Laportas, but nobody remembers Pat because he was hurt from week 7 to pretty much week 11, because 11 he played but wasn't relevant. Last week he showed he can demand 11 targets, catch 9 balls for 120 yards, and be the tight end too. He's done this his entire career. I don't know why nobody held on to him. He's a player that you don't want to drop. Especially if he's hurt, if you can avoid it. Is he the number 1 pickup this week, considering the rest of the guys on our list?
Considering there's only 2 major tight ends that are out this week because of bye. I think he should definitely be. You should definitely go out there and see. We are a show that did say, drop Pat Freiermuth a while ago because he was doing absolutely nothing early in the season. He had that one game that was 13 points, but other than that Matt Canada offense was awful. It's no surprise that the first game without Matt Canada, Freiermuth is a big target. 11 targets, 9 receptions, no touchdowns. He still scored 21 points. I would go out there and definitely check to see if Pat Freiermuth is picked up in your league. But 49% of leagues have him rostered already. He's probably on your waiver wire.
Yeah, and he's definitely a plug and or not. He's a set it and forget it as far as the tight end position, because there's not a lot of guys out there. We talk about the Chigs and the Jonnu Smith, who scored you a big fat 0. Hunter Henry scored you a big fat 0. Freiermuth seems to be a prominent person in this offense moving forward with this new direction they have. How many times do we see, I don't know if you watched the game, Freiermuth running up the seam, up the middle, and Kenny Pickett just throwing it to him? That was the play. That was the play. That's the play I run in Madden, by the way. Just let everyone know. I throw it to my tight end a lot in Madden. That's what I do. How's your Madden season going? Crashing again?
Yep.
Do you play all the games?
I'm number 2. Yep.
You play all the games, every game.
Yep.
All
so what I've been doing lately is simming it 10 years and then going through that next season, fire everybody, then completely rebuild my roster from absolutely nothing. Which if you know anything about the simulating, it takes literally forever. So you probably invest about 40 minutes in just the simming the entire season of that 10 years. So it really does suck when you finally get something going. You're in like week 15 and the game crashes on you and airs out and then just deletes your stuff after like week 15.
That's Madden, baby. That's Madden.
Hate it.
Okay, the wide receiver position, we have Demario Douglas. We told you to pick him up last week, 36%. I know he had that injury. He still scored 10 points fantasy, and that's what we told you. He's going to get you the 10 points. He's going to get you the 4 play. The quarterback position is not good there. We don't know if it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, but I will tell you this. It doesn't matter who it is. The quarterback's going to suck. But Demario Douglas is the number 1 target there, man. He had 9.13 points in this league that I'm looking at in particular. 9 targets, 6 catches, 49 yards. Not special, but if you're missing one of these guys, like a Stephon Diggs, or I'm just messing with you. Or if you're messing, all these receivers I just named, this guy could be a good step in, and he could be free. So 36% rostered. Definitely go pick up Demario Douglas.
Yeah, I mean we're expecting him to play this week, even after getting clotheslined against the Broncos or the Giants. So he should definitely go. He's up from 33% last week to 36. So he's still out there. You guys aren't listening to us. It's almost like this is another Sam Howell situation where we're like, guys, go pick him up, and it took you 3 or 4 weeks to finally go pick him up. Mario Douglas might be up over 50-60% next week. Could be a possibility.
But Sam Howell was balling out, like top 8, top 7 guy.
Yeah.
This guy was. Are we playing online franchise with Madden? Bobby,
I'm not.
We are. And let me tell you something. I quit because Madden is the worst game of all time.
Yep.
Literally, it's one of the worst games I've ever played in my life.
Yep.
But we do have a PlayStation League where we do have fun, Bobby. So if you want in, let me know. Dirtbag Dave's in it and a bunch of my friends. We play for fun. But I'm not good. So
Justin's
if you want to play, are you PlayStation 5, Justin?
If you no.
Are you a PlayStation? You're not a PlayStation 5?
I don't have it.
What are you, an Xbox guy?
No. I just have a PS4 and a PS3.
PS4. Stuck in the 2020s. Let me tell you something. No, I'm kidding. I'm glad I got my PS5. I just want to say that. It changed my life.
The only game I ever play is Madden and NCAA 14. So I can't justify $500 to spend on a console, then pay like $80, $100 for Madden just to play Madden. Like $600 just to play Madden.
I play a bunch of games, so I can justify it. I get it. Anyway, back to fantasy football. Zach Moss, running back, Colts. We just added him to the list, 50% roster. We don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor. You should have him roster. We don't own players. If you manage players and if you roster Jonathan Taylor, you should have Zach Moss. And if you don't have Zach Moss, that sucks for you because this is a season where you need your backups. If you roster CMC, you need Elijah Mitchell. If you roster Derrick Henry, you need Tajay Spears. If you roster insert running back here, you need the running back's backup. That's just the way it is. Why are we still rostering guys that have no use to us this late in the season? It just doesn't make sense. You should be setting your team up for success. There's no reason for you to be sitting there with 2 tight ends still. If your tight end's already had his bye week, get rid of that tight end, go pick up a backup running back because running backs get hurt all the time. This is the same situation. Zach Moss should have already been rostered if you had Jonathan Taylor.
Agreed.
We saw Jonathan Taylor be out and Zach Moss become Superman. Might happen again. I'm not sure. I sure hope not because in the league I have Jonathan Taylor. I don't have Zach Moss, so I'm just a hypocrite, apparently.
He was only second in rushing yards when Jonathan Taylor was out in the entire league, and he missed the first week of the season with a forearm fracture. So he only sat behind CMC at the beginning of the season. So
Zach Moss, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, so Moss is definitely in big time. 50%, go check it out. He might be there, he might not. I hate trade deadlines. I know why they exist. I get it. But, man, sitting here going, I need to make a trade for Zach Moss right now, and I can't do it. It's very frustrating. Very in redraft, of course.
I don't do like the leagues I commission. I only enable the trade deadline for the playoffs. Like once we get to the playoffs, guys, like let's stop trying to yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yep.
All right, so we have 4 more guys to get through. One quarterback. We're going to talk about him now. Russell Wilson, Denver. We told you last week. He's 56% rostered. That's pretty good. I usually don't put people above that, but since this week is so disastrous with Lamar and Josh Allen out, you're going to need to find a quarterback to replace him. I couldn't put Will Levis on this list. I couldn't put Baker. I couldn't put anyone. Like, I just couldn't justify putting these bums on there because there are a lot of bad matchups. Russell Wilson seems to be the most safest play. He's playing pretty well right now. I know a lot of people don't like Russell because of how cringe he is, Mr. Unlimited, but he's getting the job done. He might be free out there for you. You might not have to spend any fab on him. He's a guy I want on my team if I have Josh Allen or these guys who are out. Other than that, you're thinking Geno Smith against Dallas. No, thank you. You know, Russell Wilson gets Houston. We saw Baker go nuts on Houston. We saw last week Houston gave up a lot of points. The other options, Jordan Love against Kansas City, couldn't really justify that. Stafford versus Cleveland, can't really justify that. Derek Carr versus Detroit, may be possible, but again, you have Taysom Hill stealing touches, can't really justify that. So that's why Russell Wilson was the odd man out, man. Unfortunately. Oh, here's an idea. Andrew Luck signed with the Jets and that's not happening.
No. Just stop.
I'm so happy for Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
I am. I really am. He's like the most happiest dude ever. I wish most people could just walk away and just stay gone forever.
Yeah.
In wrestling too.
He's great. I love it.
Wrestlers, football players, just step away, go away forever. CM Punk. So Russell Wilson, Houston, pick him up. Do you want to know his schedule moving forward after Houston? Because it's not that bad.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Los Angeles Chargers, 4th against or 4th worst against the pass. Detroit, 5th worst against the pass. Then New England, week 16, and then Los Angeles to wrap up your championship weekend. Russell Wilson can win you leagues because all I'm seeing is green on this matchup, and I see Detroit Chargers get lit up. He gets the Chargers twice in this playoff run. Sign me up for Russell Wilson. He's been balling out. Next guy on this list, Jaden Reed. We've been talking about this guy all season long. 48% rostered. He seems to be the number 1 in Green Bay. He had a really good week versus Detroit on Thanksgiving. Jaden Reed's a guy who can also give you the same amount of production as Demario Douglas. Just it's going to be spread out more because they do have other options like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. That's why he's not above Demario Douglas on this list for me. Douglas is the only show in town. Hunter Henry's irrelevant. Devontae Parker's irrelevant. Whereas Jaden Reed is another guy stuck in a cornucopia of average receivers. But he's definitely a guy you want to go watch and go grab on your fantasy roster right now. 48% rostered. Come on, you can't beat that. Running backs, Antonio Gibson. I know, disgusting. I know we've played this game before, but Washington, 50% rostered. Guys, these guys are on the list because of the options we have and because of the bye weeks. Gibson is getting touches, not a lot, but he's actually producing with these touches. He is going against
Miami.
He's going against Miami. That's okay. He just played Dallas, had six attempts, 21 yards, 3 catches. Like I said, nothing special. But before that, against Seattle, he had 16.5. Against New England, 12.6. Again, he's just an option. After this, he has a bye week. I'm not liking the matchup, but what else are your options, Justin? Like, what would you do? Who would you rather have?
There's not really an option here. I mean, other than Zach Moss, Moss is the only option that you truly have in fantasy this week. Past that, I mean, it's awful. I mean, it's literally awful because then you're looking at guys like Patrick Laird, Patrick Taylor from the Packers. Like, it's gross after that. Like, who else are you taking at this point?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Antonio Gibson's awful, but like at the same time, he's doing better than some of these other guys that are available.
I'm glad you asked because there's one last guy on our list, Tyler Algier, who's dropped down to 50%, 56% rostered. I'm actually 55% now. I'm looking at it now, 55%. He's still getting touches. He had 10 touches last week for 64 rushing yards, no touchdowns. That's going to happen with Bijan getting all the carries. But again, give me volume. Give me a guy who's going to get 10 to 15 opportunities a game at the running back position. Other than that, like I said, all these guys on bye, all these guys hurt. You have no other options. He's playing the New York Jets, who are 5th worst against the run. Then he goes to Tampa. Then he goes to Carolina. Then he plays Indianapolis. And then he goes to Chicago. Not a bad matchup the rest of the way for a guy who you may just need to plug in here and there. And if you have Bijan Robinson, why do you not have Algier? What are you doing? Who do you have rostered that's more important than your stud running back, his backup? That is just baffling to me. If you have Bijan, you need to have Tyler Algier. Same thing I said with Elijah Mitchell and CMC. Same thing with Zach Moss and Taylor. You need to have one. You need to have the other, especially this late into the season. So Tyler Algier for me, 56% or 55% rostered. He rounds up the priority waivers. Dynasty. I have a question from Ronald McDonald. Don't like your food, sir. Dynasty, who would you rather have? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Sun
Garrett Wilson.
Sun God or Garrett Wilson? This one's difficult because it should be a slam dunk Garrett Wilson. Everyone would say slam dunk Garrett Wilson. I don't think you will. I know if Dirtbag Dave was here, he'd be like, whoa, this might be Dirtbag Dave for all I know. He might, whoa, this is simple. This is simple.
But who's throwing in the ball? That's the thing. Who is throwing in the ball? That's the important thing. The Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers. Who knows what his future looks like, honestly. I mean, yeah, he might play this season, but after this season, he'll probably play next year. But after that, this is Dynasty. We can't just think about right now. You have to think about the future, too. Amon-Ra St. Brown has Jared Goff, drafted, 2013? No. Recent, 2017, something like that. He still has years behind him. They still have, what's his face? The other guy that they, Hooker. They could draft another quarterback. We don't know. I
don't like Burger King either, Ronald, at all. If I had to go to fast food, it'd be Wendy's or PDQ.
What is up with this coat? Like,
I don't know what that means.
I'm a millennial, so I don't get it anymore.
I'm 37 years old. I don't know what cope means. I know what cope means.
Oh, that's been a thing recently, apparently, and
everyone's like cope or anyway. I'm not here to talk millennial talk, but let me tell you this, Ronald McDonald.
I'm millennial. I think it's Z. Ronald McDonald. Whatever. I think you're a Gen Z.
Or is he a Zoomer? Is that a real thing? Zoomers?
It's Z.
Okay, I don't know, dude.
Z and Zoomer are the same thing.
All right. Amon-Ra, because of the situation, because of the talent, it's honestly on par with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a way better athlete, but Amon-Ra has an opportunity. He doesn't drop the ball. The work ethic is amazing on him. I just like the way he plays football. And I feel like any quarterback that steps into that position in that offense will get the job done with Amon-Ra. Whereas Garrett Wilson, I'm sorry to say this, the majority of his fantasy points came off of luck this year or just straight up stupidity, where he's juggling balls up in the air to himself, catching touchdown passes, doing everything by himself. If they get a quarterback, sure. Yes, he holds more value. But if you want to win football games, Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you want to win fantasy football games, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sun God, is the guy I'm going with every day of the week. And that's silly for me to say because I was Garrett Wilson 101 to the end. And we've made the end, Justin. We made the end.
We have. Have you did you see that the interview of him before the Thanksgiving game?
No.
His dad had him and his brother wanted to be professional athletes. Spoiler, they both are. They were working out at like 6 years old, like lifting weights all the time.
His dad was like a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
His dad was a bodybuilder. That's awesome. I gotta do that with my son. What am I doing? I gotta make him
Wilson is the Josh Jacobs of wide receivers.
What does that mean? What does that mean? He's a Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's really good, or he's just in a bad situation and he's awesome and he's gonna be awesome no matter what.
I think that's he's in a bad situation, but he continues to just play really well. And then I think we're having a family reunion. Grandpa, is that you?
I don't know.
I think we gotta get back to work.
I think I gotta go back to work too. You can play the music, but I want to know: do you actually like McDonald's music, food, Ronald? Do you really like it? Cope L plus ratio on that. Suck it. PDQ is my spot. Do you have PDQ up there in Indianapolis?
No.
What does your chicken go to?
Like
chicken fast food. Popeyes.
Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, KFC. I don't like any of them, so it's fine.
Yeah, because I'd
rather just make it myself.
Yeah, me too. But guys, we're gonna wrap up the show. Do starts and sits of the week. Ronald McDonald, you're more than welcome. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. we do starts and sits. I think I'm up against it. So guys, follow us later. Peace out.